Hey there, welcome to Coaching with Tally. We are recapping our series on finding joy in the journey, going back through and touching in on some of the high points, things that we visited, lessons we've been learning, things that we've been growing in. And today we're going to be recapping running toward the wrong finish line. When you are running and putting so much effort and energy only to find out that you've actually been running in the wrong direction or toward the wrong finish line. So we're going to look at that a little bit, and then we're also going to touch in on self-beat up as motivation. So many of us, especially high achievers and leaders, can have this tendency to motivate ourselves through a fear-based kind of inner critic that keeps us activated and moving. But in the long term, what is that actually doing to us? So we're going to touch in on those two things, recap from our series, Joy in the Journey, as we wrap up. So let's start. By the way, my name is Tally. I'm a life and personal development coach, and I get to work with leaders to create lives of overflowing impact in the world that are centered in a place of joy, getting you aligned to who it is you most truly are, get you firing on all cylinders, and get you creating a life that you love living so that you can, first of all, enjoy your life, and secondly, be in overflow, really having an impact in the world. So let's talk about racing toward the wrong finish line. Often we motivate ourselves by what we think is going to really meet our needs, and we have a lot of influences in our society that tell us, what we should be going for and what's really going to meet needs. And a lot of times it's at a very subconscious level. We are driving towards something. We're giving a lot of our time, a lot of our energy, a lot of our focus and intention to creating something, and we do that because we think it's really going to meet a deep need. And we might not know that, like, at a conscious level, that that's what we're doing, but everything that we do is motivated by meeting the needs that we have emotionally. So just like we need air and water and sleep to survive physically, there are things that we have to have emotionally. And the things that we're giving our time and our energy and our attention to, we believe are going to meet those core longings. But often we end up spinning our wheels, and they're steering us into a place that actually isn't going to meet those needs. So taking a look at it and looking at what our drivers really are, super, super effective. So have you ever been so focused on achieving something, and then you finally accomplished it, and you're like, this is not nearly as fulfilling as I thought this was going to be? It's this thing in action. So a lot of times maybe we believe that a relationship is going to give us, it could be different things for different people. So let's look at some of the core longings. This is the desire wheel that I use. This particular one was designed by Tony and Kathy Stolzfus. They're out of Redding, California. Coach 22, really good resource. But you look at, we are all motivated by one or multiple core longings. So a relationship might give security to one person. It might give a sense of approval to another person. It might be a sense of belonging for someone else. It might be being known for somebody else. So getting really clear on what is underneath your, what it is you're running after will be really supportive for you. Or maybe money is one that I use a lot, because for one person it might represent security. For someone else it might represent a sense of significance. For someone else it might be that sense of belonging. Or it might be challenge, like just the challenge of getting to a certain number, or whatever it is. But there are different core longings that drive us. When we can get clear on what our core longings that we're most needing to have filled, what those are, we can often get to having those needs met a lot sooner than the huge goals that we put in front of us that we think are going to meet these needs. So if our thing is security, and one person is looking to have that met through a relationship, someone else is looking to have that met through having a certain dollar in the bank account. Like, it could be the same heart's longing, but we're trying to get to it in different ways. And what if you could actually have a sense of security right now? Like, what if there are things, if you know that that's your driver, that that's your big motivator, you just need to feel a sense of security. There are so many healthy ways you could be finding in your life right now to be getting that met. So it's just super helpful looking at what are the core drivers, what are those core motivations for us, so that we're not spending months and years and decades of our life running after something we think is going to fulfill when we actually have access to it right now. So that is touching in on that one a little bit. And then the second one is self-beat up as motivation. So I know a lot of high achievers use this, and I used to think perfectionism was a good thing. I used to think of it as a positive asset that I had on board, and I've come to realize, man, that it motivates short term, but it does not get me very far in the long run. I've started to shift out self-beat up and that inner critic. I've started to realize, actually, I want to love that place into a place of integration in myself. So when we're overly critical and thinking it's going to be motivation, it actually ends up keeping us, it becomes like a ball and chain almost, like we are dragging this thing around. And while when we're younger, it sometimes can get us into action quicker, because it's really a fear-based tactic. Everything is rooted either in fear or love. And so when we are being critical of ourselves, kind of like gets us to hop to and maybe get into some action and get some things done. But over the long haul, it actually slows us down so much. So I used to be really hard on myself, thinking that it was a great way to motivate to get what I wanted. But it's a coping mechanism that adopted subconsciously. We've adopted this subconsciously at an early age, and it ends up, it ends up slowing us down far more than it helps. So shifting that out for positive reinforcement in your life, and there's a ton of scientific studies. We went into some of these during this series, but it really does end up causing all kinds of issues physically. It hurts our immune system, it hurts our relationships, we're self-judging, and we end up judging other people. There's a lot of negative reasons to keep that inner critic, that like self-judgment alive. So what you want to do with that is begin shifting that out to really positive messages toward yourself, affirming yourself, giving yourself encouragement for the things that you are doing. Start looking for the things that you're doing well. So I think the activation today is to take a minute and just really acknowledge yourself for your progress, for your growth, for where you're at today. So take some time today, and it might just be a little note that you write yourself, or maybe just sit and just speak to yourself, speak to your own heart, and just, affirming the things that you've done well, and affirming the places that you are growing and the ways that you're developing. So be kind to yourself, be loving to yourself. It's going to serve you far more. We are going to be back tomorrow. Is our last day to recap this series. I'm going to take you guys camping with me. I'm going to be going up to Lake Erie, spend a little time camping with some friends. So we'll jump in and say hello tomorrow, recap a little bit about rest and refuel, which is perfect because I'll be resting and refueling. So I'll bring you into that. And then next week, we're going to start a new series. So blessings, everybody. I hope you have an amazing weekend. And we will be back again tomorrow. Blessings.